It was great, and thanks everyone for being here and watching it. We weren't expecting it, because I think you never do. We've all done this for a while, and you never know how things are going to pan out, but we were kind of delighted by the way everyone responded to it. The conceit, as Matthew was saying, was always really interesting. The idea of you know, an old vestige of British Empire, the crumbling pieces of it meets the new money, you know, crime, and the mix of those two. And that was always fascinating to me. And then beyond that, family, this idea of this kind of fucked up, strange family. I mean, particularly you're disgusting. He's a horrendous person in most ways.
And the character.
Yes. But the idea of, you know, family mixed with the heightened comedy, but with a dark edge, and I think that's what Guy brings. You know, it's comedic, but he never pushes it too far. And beneath it is a simmering layer of, you know, blacky ink potential, which was really always interesting to me.
So Daniel, before we came out onto the stage, I said, boy, were you committed to this performance.
So much cocaine. I should have. Oh my God, disgusting.
But Daniel, I would just like to hear from you, like when you read the script just for this first episode, like, and your scene when Freddie goes through this total like emotional roller coaster. What went through your mind the first time you read the screenplay?
I mean, I'm a big old ham, so I look at that stuff and think, oh, yeah, I'm gonna be able to show off doing that. But it was, for me, it was in the first episode, it was that will reading scene, which is, you know, it's rare with Guy that you turn up and shoot the pages as they're written in the script. But that was one actually that stuck pretty closely to the way that it was written on the page. I remember reading that just thinking, like, this is fucking nuts. I love that this guy is that self-involved and has such a warped perspective of himself and his like status within his family and within the world, and the complete disparity between the way he sees himself and the way the world sees him. I just thought, like, there's fun to be had there, but it's dark and troubling and deeply concerning as well. So I kind of had an inkling that it would be a fun role to play, but then then we turn up and Guy just sets fire to the script, and then you just sort of buckle up and strap in.
And he tells you to go fuck yourself.
And he tells you to go fuck yourself.
Well, Vinny, first of all, I mean, this year marks the 25th anniversary of my first introduction to your work, which was Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. But because you do go so far back with Guy Ritchie, my question for you is, I couldn't wait to ask you, like, how has he stayed in his true to himself, true to his roots, while also evolving in doing such a sprawling TV series? What was it like working with him then? What was it like working with him now?
Well, we were young men then. I was the only one that was earning any money at the time, because I was a pro soccer player at the time of football. I remember Guy came over for the first time. I took him down to Budget Rent-A-Car on the corner of Sunset and La Cienega. There used to be a Budget. We basically asked for the cheapest car they had. So he rented a Mustang and drove around with that, stayed up at my house for a little while. Came to the football. On Lock, Stock, we mixed quite a lot. Matthew Vaughn, myself, Jay Statham, you know, and we became mates, real mates. And they used to come and watch me play football on a Saturday to get fed. Their asses were out of their trousers, they had no money, none of them. And the first time I ever met them was at a big stately home. Right, so this was in Guy's mind, I think, a long time ago. We went to Stoke Poges, and my manager at the time phones me and says, can you go and meet these two lads, young lads, Matthew Vaughn and Guy Ritchie? And I said, okay. Nobody knew him. And not even the bloody waiter in there. And went in there, had tea and coffee with them, and at the end of it, I had to pay the bill. They didn't even have enough money for the copy and said, we're doing this great movie called Lock, Stock and so-and-so's in it and everybody else is in it. Nobody was in it. It was a load of old bollocks. But then, you know, we did Lock, Stock, and while I was doing Lock, Stock, my character, Big Chris, was an enforcer, you know, he was a money collector and everything. And we're going through, and I've got kind of a habit, I get bored of scripts after about page 3, or episode 1. I think it all turned out well anyway, lads, well done. Good job on the gentleman. It was great to see how it all revolved after the first episode. They know I'm not joking. When I'm sitting in makeup and saying, have I got any dialogue today? It makes them panic a little bit.
Vinny, by the way, will regularly get to a certain point in the day and go, yeah, you don't need me anymore, I think I'm going to go home. They're like, Vinny, we need your close-up. And he's like, nah, you don't.
I learned very early. I did my first ever movie, it was Gone in 60 Seconds, and I had the cameraman, the DOP, and when you're filming, if you move half an inch to the right, you can get a couple of days off. So in movies and that, you might see me shuffling a little bit like that. So my shoulder's not in the shot and I'm not hanging around for a couple of days. A lot of actors that I know are doing this.
He honestly isn't joking.
No, and in Lock, Stock, so I said to Guy, I said, you know, he's supposed to be this tough guy and you know, when do I get to bash somebody up or do something, you know? And he said, well, you know, we're going to do it later on, and there's a scene where I smashed the guy's head in the car door. And he said, now, you know, we've got somewhere to go, and I kind of said the same in The Gentleman. Is, you know, and he just kept saying he'd get me in his trailer and he'd go, less. You know, and I said, I'm going to be asleep in a minute, you know. So I kind of played the role like that, and then, you know, building it up, and you'll see through the upper episodes how Jeff kind of builds up, and I'm in the background keeping an eye on all these rascals. So, yeah, if you ever take this game up seriously, remember the inches.
That's a masterclass, ladies and gentlemen. Just welcome to the stage here, 5-time Emmy nominee Giancarlo Esposito. Thank you. Just got off, well, maybe not just, but certainly recently, maybe in the last day or two, just got off a plane from the Cannes Film Festival, where his new film Megalopolis had its world premiere. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here. Real pleasure. I came directly from the airport. I think it's been a lot of years since I was a young actor or a young bloke that I actually changed my clothes in the car. But I did. It was quite an experience. I'm still agile. I'm glad I do a lot of yoga.
Well, Giancarlo, I mean, you're busier than ever from when you were a young bloke. And what was it about this role, about Stanley, about working in The Gentleman, that was like an actor's dream for you?
Well, it's a real magical story for me. I had been a big fan of you, Vinny, and Lock, Stock, and all the folks in it. And I thought about the movie and rewatched a bit of it. And the next day, this is about a year ago, I called my manager and said, you know, I'm thinking about this Guy Ritchie. He said, yeah, okay. I said, what's he doing? You want to work with Guy Ritchie? I said, yeah, I do. And they made no overtures or advances. And 48 hours later, I got a call from Guy. And they said, how did you do this? And I said, what? Guy Ritchie wants you to be thinking about The Gentleman. And I remembered the original movie and really loved it. So what was it about this? It was the
sorry to interrupt, that exactly happened on Snatch with Brad Pitt. When it was written and Brad had called, or their manager and said, what's Guy Ritchie doing? And they spoke to Guy and Brad spoke to each other, and that's how Brad ended up doing Snatch.
Wow, amazing. Well,
So you are basically Brad Pitt.
I'll take it. What attracted me to this, it was the writing, it was the story, and it was, this felt like a return to what Guy Ritchie does the best.
Yes.
And for me, he said, I want you to, you know, when I spoke to him, I want you to play a character, Stanley Johnston, by the way, with a T. Yeah, for you, Scott. I listened, I heard my introduction. Johnston with a T.
Gotcha.
I want you to play the richest man in the world, and I thought, oh, I could do that. I want to be the richest man in the world. And I thought it would give me an opportunity to act as if. But it was the investigation of aristocracy, criminality, and the family you're running from, the family you're running to, and the family that you find yourself in that you don't want to be in. And so I really found that all of those elements of this story really attracted me. And I thought I would be coming quick in and out. I was, really trying to inch to the right, like Vinny suggested, but I couldn't get out. It was from our first meeting with Lulu over the phone that really started to inspire me in regard to Brad, to a guy's vision, and what this character would look like. So in order to create a character, you sort of feel how to inhabit it through the dialogue, which I didn't know at the time was all going to get thrown out. You get there and you get called in the guy's trailer and Matthew's just sitting there just retyping everything out of the conversation you're having. And so that was the other hook, was the idea that I would stay up till 3 in the morning learning all my lines and be bulletproof, and then come in and the guy would go, forget all that, let's try this. And so it was a really great way to be on point and on your toes, and to be able to improvise within your own brain with other actors.
I had that with these two especially, because I was on set and I know how Guy works, and so they were going, is this normal? And I'm going, get used to it, lads. It's going to be a long trip, get used to it. And then you did, didn't you? You both were coming to me going, oh, I don't know about this. We've got all this new dialogue. 2 inches to the left.
That's the theme for the night, the inches.
I remember, just to jump in on that, I remember my first fitting with Lulu, and you were like, yeah, don't bother learning your lines. No, anyone who's done more than one Guy Ritchie thing, just don't learn your lines. And you learned that as well. We were both just like, why did you tell me that? I can't learn my lines.
2-page monologue. Oh, don't worry, we'll use that later. I'm like, and then you have to really get out of your being and go, it's okay, this is what's happening now. Be present, be in the moment, deal with it.
That's exactly it. You just have to show up and be kind of like not crying. Show no fear.
And he's the biggest. He's right there next to you, so he's laughing at his own stuff, isn't he? That's the thing, he's right there, and Matthew's over there going.
Occasionally he'll be like, oh God, it is a bit shit, isn't it? Like, yeah, okay. How do we fucking find something here?
And then he'll go, right, you need to say something funny, and Theo, I don't know, can't say something again. No, that shit's something else.
Somebody else will say something like that.
No, that's even shit. Go back to what you do.
Well, next I want to ask about working with Guy. What makes Guy and Matthew, what makes them great actors, producers? Like how do they, what makes them unique as producers who are great with actors?
Well, I worked with him on Operation Fortune. It was only a small role, but it was an absolute joy. And I stayed. I think I was due to shoot for about a week. And Guy said, "Are you doing anything for the next 3 weeks when you've wrapped?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, stay in the trailer each day. I'll find some bits and pieces, And I love it. And I think what's so great about both Matthew and Guy is that you're given your character, which is obviously the first thing you look at as an actor. The ego kicks in. You want to see if you can do any good work with it or not. And then with Guy, I knew from that film experience that you're given an opportunity to dance within the parameters of what's on the page. Now, then that is very exciting for me as an actor. Some actors find it a bit terrifying, but I think it's a tool that we need. I think it's like I've said this before in London, but it's very much like a jazz musician improvising with great jazz musicians, of which all of these guys are on set and the females on set. And to your point about the scripts, I got the scripts sent from Matthew, and I read them. And it was the 3 episodes at the end of the show. And I was reading them, and I was going, "This is a dynamite character. I love this character." and I knew characters like him, and so I was able to take bits from different people that I knew personally, you know. And I spent like about a month learning drilling these monologues, drilling in Studio City, walking around the pool. My kids are trying to get fed. I'm going, sorry, baby, you tell my wife, you better feed her. I'm busy. But drilling. And then I got on the plane on the Saturday before my Monday shoot, and because I remembered Operation Fortune and the process of how it's just on you. You've got to be out there with that quickly. And I phoned production and I said, I just want to check I've got the latest drafts. Because I'd spent like 5 weeks nailing these scenes, you know, hours every day, dialect scenes, choices, so on and so forth. And they went, yeah, we think so, we're just going to check the dates. It's the flip-flap of the va-va-va-va-va. And I went, no, that's not my draft. And they said, oh, well, Matthew and Guy, there's a couple of changes, nothing major. And I was going to the airport, to LAX, and I had the computer download Wi-Fi, BA, I started reading it, and then I needed a defibrillator on the plane. I thought I was going to have a full heart attack. Every single scene was changed. And I went, oh my God, I'm shooting 48 hours. But you have to adapt. And the great thing is about this whole platform and this world that Guy presents and Matthew presents and the producers of this show present is, if you do due diligence with your work, you can be pliable with whatever happens on the day. And that is what you have to be able to do as an actor. It's as simple as that. And I love the experience. I really had a great time.
That's us. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that Guy's confidence, because he's such an accomplished director, he's able to catch a kind of lightning in a bottle, and that's this, because the structure of the early episodes didn't really change, but what's happening in the scenes, he has to find his way. He has this confidence so that he can rewrite it, taking in ideas, and even on the floor, the scene that Dan was saying about the will reading, there was some really amazing improvisations made, like you leaving the whole room and coming back. That was done on the floor. Theo's reaction of, oh, he's coming back, which I love, and really I think helps the audience connect with that character. That comes from Guy having the confidence and the trust and the collaboration.
He is on the floor with you, that's what I was saying. And when we did Lock, Stock right at the beginning, I do quite a famous line in it near the end. He said, he goes, anything else? And the boys out say, yeah, there's one more thing. I turn back and say, it's been emotional. And that came about because I used to say that. I used to, yeah, see you later. And I used to say to the boys, see you later, it's been emotional. And it was 4 o'clock in the morning, we were filming, and it was like one of the last days, and he was there, and he was all tired, and he said, give me what's that thing you say when you go? And I was like, what are you talking about? He said, if you was leaving now, what would you say? I said, it's been emotional. Give me one of them. Roll the camera, just give me one of them. And we did one, and that was, I've actually got it tattooed on my back.
Me too, Travis there.
It's been emotional. It says don't get to 2 inches.
Only 2.
But that's his improvisation, that is how he does it, you know, a lot of the time. You know, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, like Dan said.